Hi, this is Runa, and you're listening to the Changemakers podcast, where we share tips, insight, tools, and stories from other changemakers designed to motivate you to become the change you want to see in your world. Make sure you join our Changemakers community at runamagnus.com/podcast. And now, this is your time to sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Our guest today, no other than Catherine Plano, the woman behind I Am Woman project. Catherine is not only a special woman. When I did this interview, here I was in Iceland, 9 o'clock in the evening, and it was 8 o'clock in the morning for her in Australia. Oh, the power of technology. It is Catherine's personal goal to help and change and inspire individuals, helping them connect with their internal power to realize their full potential and to magnetize themselves into a life of abundance. I had to ask Catherine about her project I Am Woman, why it became such a big thing for her, and how she is the change maker, changing the world, doing the things that she loves, and at the same time helping others to become the best version of themselves. Let's dig into that podcast. Catherine, welcome. I am so excited to have you on our Changemakers podcast. Here I am in Iceland. It is 9 o'clock in the evening, pitch dark, and I'm heading into the night, and you are in Australia, and a new day just started for you. Isn't this amazing?
It is super amazing. It's 8 o'clock in the morning for me, and just starting my day, and you're ending yours.
I'm ending mine. And here's the thing. The beautiful thing about technology is being able to interact with people worldwide, connect with women and men such as yourself who are so on the top of what is happening in this world, what we need to be aware of when it comes to the generations to come, with leadership, with what sort of a life we want to live, the whole lot. And then it doesn't really matter, does it, if you are from Iceland or Australia or anything in between. The same thing matters to us all, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't think it matters. I think that we're just getting closer and closer every day. I don't think that distance and time and space has anything to do with our belief systems and, what we fight for and our ways of working. I think we are just all one at the same thing.
Yeah. And your project, I Am Woman, is such an inspiring project. And here's the thing. Me being such an advocate for gender equity in the world, I just recently found out that really what I've been passionate about was equity, not equality. But that's another explanation. And seeing what you've been doing with both your podcast, your services, your speaking, your coaching, tell me, what do you see is the essence that the women that are coming out there, what do you see as their essence, the ones that are really going to be leading the future?
Oh, good question. That's an interesting question. I could answer that in different ways. I guess the whole project started through my own experience. So I climbed the corporate ladder. I was a single mom in a man's world. So for me, and I see this quite often in a corporate environment and in leadership in its totality, is that I see two types of women. So I just want to kind of what I see, and then I'll unpack this. So two types of women. So the first woman is I see that is climbing the corporate ladder, very career focused, has walls around her because being in a different kind of environment, not necessarily treated equally, but very strong, had to wear this persona and very, very strong. They get to a point in their life in their middle age. So middle age could be even mid-30s to early 40s, where they go, holy moly, what have I done with my life? I don't have a relationship. I don't have children. What am I doing with my life? They have this epiphany. Mm-hmm. Then the other woman is the woman that does have a family, that has been climbing the corporate ladder, riddled with guilt, because being torn between the two, wanting to do the right thing by the family and be the mother, but then also want to do the right thing by her team and be the corporate leader and climb the corporate ladder. Mm-hmm. So you can see that there's these two types, very distinctive types of women. and I don't know if you've experienced that yourself, but I see this a lot in working with women in leadership.
Yeah.
And I think that now there's also this other thing, because there's been such a focus on what you're talking about, equity, gender equality, that whole thing. There's now this thing where women go, why do we have to make a big thing about us? Because now what I'm finding is I'm in this role and people are saying, you just got that role because you're a woman, not because of your skills and talents. So I find there's a lot of confusion at the moment. And I think that when I have a conversation with them, it's really about understanding that you are in this position because of who you are, because of your skills and talents, regardless. And when you think about the equality or gender equity, I think that it's also, there's been such a focus on men for such 50 years that now to create the balance, we have to bring the balance and be more conscious about having more women in leadership roles, because really they bring something different. Women are wired differently. Their brain is differently. They have, you know, even on the emotional component of the brain, when you look at the brain itself is 2%, it's only 2%, but still it's 2% more when it comes to emotional intelligence. We go about, when we look at things from when we're trying to solve problems, we look at it from different eyes. We don't just dive into it. We be the observer. We do a lot more reflection. So we're very, very different. We are all motivated differently as well. So it's not so much being a male or a female. I think what I'm seeing now is there's this confusion.
Yeah.
If anything. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah. My thoughts, yeah. It's interesting when you talk about these two types of women and that old myth, an old saying, you know, you're getting this job because you're a woman. To this day, I can't recall ever hearing any guy you're getting this job because you're a man.
Spot on. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, and it's interesting as well, you know, here I am in Iceland, and, you know, Iceland is ranking number 1, I think, for 9 or 10 years, the best country in the world for women is what they say. And I actually disagree with that statement. I think that number 1, even though we rank number 1 in the world when it comes to gender equality, first of all, that doesn't mean that we're super duper. We're just not as bad as the others. And secondly, I don't think that it's right to say it's the best country for women in the world. I think it's the best country for humankind then. Because my take on it is, if we have equal opportunity for people, that they are valued for whatever it is, that their skill set, their experience, their knowledge, their education, everything is taken into that account, then that benefits their family, it benefits the society, it benefits the community as a whole. So I think we could fundamentally change our language just for that 2 things. Do you agree with me? To get a different viewpoint on really what we're talking about.
Yeah, I know. And I think it's also, you know, it's the way the system has been set up. You know, we've been conditioned to believe that we have to stay small. You know, I don't know if you have the same saying in Iceland, barefoot and pregnant. No, you know, you're a woman, you stay home, barefoot and pregnant, stay small. You know, behind every great man, there is an amazing woman. You know, you hear all these common
all of that,
yeah, but it's the way that we've been conditioned. And I see that a lot of the times when opportunities come up, men jump at it, women stand back a little bit and go, am I good enough? Am I smart enough? Am I worthy enough? You know, they think about it. It's almost like you have to push them. They won't put themselves forward. So there's a lack of confidence too, because I think very much by conditioned by society to stay small. What are your thoughts about that?
I get where you're coming from. I actually think I see it both ways. I see men in that role as well, just as much as women. And maybe that's because where I'm based. That could be the thing when you're saying that. It actually could be, you know, when we talk about in the No More Boxes movement, and when I really start to dig into this, seeing either gender as this or the other, I come to see actually quite a lot of men that are not stepping up,
But they have instead, they have the stigma that they should, and that they should man up and they should be the whatever the stigma is in the environment. And I don't know if that is any better, to be honest. If you are a guy and you actually are you're caring and you want to collaborate and you want to host and foster your family, you're being told to man up. And if you're a woman and like you were saying, if you are not that one that is reserved, but actually just fast forward and doing things, well, we like them to be, right? You are very often told not to be such a bitch.
Yeah.
And so neither actually work when I think about it. What are you on that?
No, I agree. And I was just wondering whether that's a different culture too from Iceland, because there's such an emphasis of being the number one in the world when it comes to equality and, equity, women's everything.
Yeah.
So I wonder whether they're different. Yeah, but I agree. I mean, what I'm saying was a very blanket approach. Broad, but it doesn't apply to all men, absolutely, because there are, I know some amazing men who are very in touch with their feminine side and actually would rather be the person that stays home looking after the house and children and allow their wife or partner to man up and be the lead.
And yeah, exactly. And I often thought about, and I gotta ask you this question, specifically from that standpoint that we might be looking at it, culture-wise. In Australia and in the environment where you have the most experience in, would you say a man who would say, I just want to take care of my family and be a home giver and be the caregiver there, how would the society take him in your world?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, because there are some women that I've worked with who are high in an executive role and absolutely have got young ones or a young one at home, and their husband looks after them. So he's primarily the caregiver and looking after the house and make sure that dinner's cooked when they get home. How are they looked upon? That's a really good question. I don't think I wouldn't want to label them. I just think it's not the norm, that's for sure. Absolutely
not the majority. No.
But how are they looked upon? I think it's like, to me, the way I see it, I think they're being supportive. I think it's their understanding that it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. We have a job to take care of. It's a family, it's children, and we're collaborating and do it together. And if it means that you're going to work because maybe you earn more money than I'm happy to step down. And it's not a punch to the ego either. It's about, I think it's a very soulful experience. It's very expansive if you can think that way and behave that way.
I think it will benefit us as a whole, just saying, okay, this is your choice, and hey, we celebrate that. And if that's I remember in my younger days, I mean, this is, we're talking roughly 20 years ago, my husband, he decided to take the time off and basically take care of the home and everything at that time. And 20 years ago, was he judged here in Iceland? I guess there were probably, not that I found out, but I guess it was seen as different. But it's quite a common thing, actually, or more common. I wouldn't say it. It's basically, I think there are between 85 or 86% of all women are working outside of the home today. So that's probably normal than even, neither gender being at home. But it's interesting to see how this evolved. So with the I Am Woman project, and for you, Catherine, when you started this whole project, what was your goal and where are you on your journey?
So we started off with an online platform, and we had women from all over the world collaborating, sharing stories, because I think it's all really important to share stories. And I think for me it was more so because I did a lot of corporate work, but I saw this rise in mumpreneurs. So mumpreneurs, I should say, not mama, mumpreneurs. So you saw these women that either were in a corporate environment, left the corporate environment to have children, and then was still very creative and wanted to start a business. So I saw this rise of women at home creating amazing, powerful businesses and entrepreneurs. So that's where it started. It was kind of focusing on that. And then we were approached by a magazine in the UK said, why don't you create a magazine, which we did. That was a lot of work and a lot of time consuming, lots of money, put a big hole in my pocket. And then I thought, I want to continue with this purpose of women from all over the world sharing stories and collaborating, because I found that some of the feedback we're getting, it's amazing, like, oh, I love this woman, it helped me go through blah, blah. So you could see that just from women sharing their stories helped other women come out of their stuck state or their dark states. Yeah. So that's how the podcast came to life. So it's been going since I think 2011. And so we've gradually changed form, but it's always been I Am Woman Project. And it was all about collaborating and women being creative together. There's kind of like this community. So, and here we are with podcasts.
Exactly. And I've been listening to your podcast, and I have to tell our audience, you have to go to Catherine's page. We'll be sharing all the links in our show notes, because she's interviewing so many amazing women with so many fabulous stories and insights that is very inspiring. Catherine, where do you see women are becoming?
I think women are starting to really tap into that leader within. I think everything, when I say women in leadership, it doesn't like, and this is the show, I've had some feedback go, you have a lot of spiritual women on your podcast. Yeah. And I went, all women. It doesn't matter whether they're an entrepreneur, a woman in business, or, a shamanic woman or a spiritual, they're all women leading the way in some way, shape or form. Yeah. I think there's more of that. Women are really starting to tap into that leader within themselves, and you don't need to be in a corporation. You don't even need to own a business, but you can be a leader at home. You can be a leader and have a spiritual experience just by having a cup of chai tea. So I think women are starting to really stand in their truth. I'm seeing more of that, and I'm seeing that women are starting to have a voice. And on that, are being heard. Whether it's through podcasts or reading, writing, a lot of keynote speakers, I think there's more and more of that coming through. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. It has been increasing, and we need more, because we do need diversity, that voice and that vision and that different perspective. It is something that we all grow from. And specifically, which would be, and here I'm saying something that I would really like to see more of, is us as human being more acceptive and less judgmental to ourselves and others, which I think is one of the reasons why so many of us are maybe not stepping in, because we're afraid of being judged.
Yeah. And I mean, judges, I could go on this topic for forever. Judgment actually stops us being who we want to be. Judgment creates this massive wall for us. Yeah. So when people find themselves judging themselves, I always say, what are you avoiding? Yeah. What are you not dealing with? What are you running away from? Those kind of things, because we all judge to some degree, but actually practicing not judgment, it takes practice, but it's rewarding, very rewarding when you actually go, I actually, transformation is an inside job. And when you are focused and everything within, you don't judge as much because you're not external focused. It's all about, how can I be more present? How can I be in the now? How can I be more powerful? Not external, but internal. And I think that we're starting to, and I think there's a bit of a shift and a rise in consciousness where we're starting to start seeking within rather than always seeking without.
The external, the external part, I love to share if you translate the Icelandic word for being perfect, if you just translate it really directly to English, it means fully present. Yeah. Isn't that beautiful to think Absolutely. That you can actually, by being fully present inside, you are perfect.
That's it. Oh, I love that. Oh, love that.
Yeah.
So what was the word, the actual word itself?
The word is fullkomin, which is quite difficult to say, but fullkomin, it's fully present, coming to full, being fully. Yeah. So
when you're saying fully, when you're being present, you are expanding. Yeah, because you're feeding the soul, you're feeding the self. So you are expanding fully. Yeah.
Yeah. And no one says that it's easy to be fully present and be fully in each moment, because that is something that, like a muscle that you have to constantly practice, don't you? But
Absolutely.
I just think the thought that when those little moments here and there where you manage to do that in your meditation or whatever you're doing, that you manage to be in your present moment, to think then, now I'm perfect.
Oh, I love that. I've always steered away from the word perfect, because I'm myself a bit of a perfectionist, and I teach that, it will never be perfect. Because, if you're one of these people that it has to be perfect, you'll procrastinate, you'll hold back on, launching the projects. And the only way is launch them. And that's where you learn from what you need to, tweak. But I get up at 4:30 every morning to meditate, and I spend that time myself. And that internal focus, I do feel very expansive when I actually do that every morning. And just dedicating that time for yourself, and I'm saying this for everyone, if you just dedicate that time, it's amazing. It's amazing how many people don't spend time or invest time on self.
Oh, couldn't agree with you more. Absolutely. Yeah, like talking from my own heart. Catherine, finally, one last question, actually two. In the work that you're doing and in your internal work as much as your external work, what is the change that you want to see in your world? And what is the role that you want to take in creating that change?
For me, I want to empower the planet. I want to rise the vibration of the planet. And the only way to do that, to become more conscious. So it goes back to being present. The more conscious we are as human beings, the more conscious the planet will be as a whole. And I think that's why, for me, it's all about transformation. And I do the deep work, inside out work, for us to then make an impact and influence an outcome. And you can influence so many different outcomes when you are more conscious and not living in a space of habitual old patterns, conditioned ways of thinking and living. And it's really about, to be, as you were saying, a change maker, you need to break out of the norm. You need to push the boundaries and challenge the status quo. And only then can we really, truly transform as a whole.
Pushing through and really becoming a whole. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Absolutely. Yeah. It's where as we say, where the box is starts to be too narrow for you, so you can't breathe and you can't do what you're supposed to be doing on this planet. Catherine, thank you so much for being a guest on our podcast. Well, all the information are going to be in our show notes. And I guess it's getting late for me. I'm starting to stuff it and everything. So I'm going to say thanks so much, Catherine, for being our guest. And to our audience, please go to our website and take more into all the work that Catherine is doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Was this podcast of value for you? I sure hope so. If so, feel free to share the love and give us your generous review on iTunes or Stitcher. And remember that you can always go to runemagnus.com to find out more about the Changemakers and how we can help you drive the change you want to see in your world.